No wonder Matthew McConaughey became one of the greatest actors of our generation. Simply put, nobody else quite feels like him on screen. Because before the Oscars, before Interstellar, before True Detective, before he became the coolest guy in Hollywood, Matthew McConaughey was just a random guy from Texas who accidentally walked into one audition.
You once told me that when you came back we might be the same age.
Got one life, right? Mine.
Time is a flat circle.
Come on.
But none of this was supposed to happen, because in the early 1990s, Matthew McConaughey wasn't a movie star. He wasn't even an actor yet. He was just a student at the University of Texas who needed some extra money. He was willing to give anything a try. The young, charismatic kid with no real acting experience was ready to step in and give it a shot, but he wasn't even meant to have this opportunity. He was just a kid who wanted to become a lawyer. Clearly, he's always been quite ambitious. And honestly, Hollywood probably would have never discovered him if it wasn't for one random night in Austin, Texas. Because one night, while hanging around a hotel bar, McConaughey met casting director Don Phillips. Now, Don Phillips wasn't just anybody. This was the man responsible for casting movies like Fast Times at Ridgemont High. And immediately, he noticed something about McConaughey. Not acting ability, charisma. The kind of charisma you can't teach. The kind of charisma where somebody walks into a room and everyone else feels less interesting. So, Phillips invited him to an audition for a low-budget coming-of-age movie directed by Richard Linklater called Dazed and Confused. At the time, nobody thought this movie would become a classic. And even crazier, the role McConaughey auditioned for was tiny. Watterson was originally just a background side character. A guy who showed up for a few scenes and then disappeared. But then the audition started, and watch this carefully, because this doesn't feel like an actor reading lines. It feels like somebody accidentally wandered into the wrong room and naturally became the coolest person there. Most actors walk into auditions trying to impress the casting directors, but McConaughey seemed as if he was trying to seduce everyone around him. Of course, it seemed to work. Watch the body language, the way he leans back, the rhythm of his speech, the confidence. It's just Matthew McConaughey coded. Just for the role of Watterson, they actually had to make McConaughey look dorkier. They gave him funny bangs and an awful outfit. Boom, Matthew got the role. And once he got onto set, something strange happened. The character started bending around him. Watterson wasn't only written anymore, he was being discovered in real time. And then came the iconic line that changed everything.
All right.
One of the most iconic lines in movie history was completely improvised. Again, this was just Matthew McConaughey being Matthew McConaughey. And somehow, this random side character became the soul of the entire movie. Watterson hit different. Like a guy permanently stuck between adolescence and adulthood. His bizarre lines stuck around as cult classics.
That's what I love about these high school girls, man. I get older, they stay the same age.
The audience fell in love because underneath the smoking and the partying and the ridiculous one-liners, there was something oddly authentic about him. Watterson didn't feel like a movie character. He felt like a real person you've encountered before. That's the charm. He wasn't a trained actor. He literally was a college kid playing a college kid. Green light. After Dazed and Confused, studios looked at Matthew McConaughey and saw one thing. After his initial success, Matthew seemed to suffer from success. That charm, that smile, that Texas drawl. Instead of turning him to a serious actor, Hollywood turned him into a product. How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, Failure to Launch, Ghost of Girlfriend's Past. For years, Matthew McConaughey became the face of early 2000s romantic comedies. And to be fair, he was good at them. A little too good. Because eventually something strange happened. People stopped seeing him as an actor. He was sort of eye candy for the most part. He got the sales the movie needed. Girls and even some guys were watching him just to ogle at his looks. And this was the birth of Matthew McConaughey, the rom-com guy. I mean, chicks loved him, but Hollywood didn't respect him. And eventually McConaughey realized something terrifying. The same charisma that made him famous was putting him into a box. Because beneath all the smiling interviews and magazine covers, Matthew McConaughey wanted something bigger. He didn't want to just be famous, he wanted to stand on business.
And I'm standing on business, is it?
He did not want to be an objectified person that made shit movies just for the sake of making them. He understood that he was lacking a certain depth. And so around the late 2000s, he did something almost nobody in Hollywood would ever do. He walked away. He stopped accepting the easy paychecks, stopped chasing the safe roles, stopped trying to protect his celebrity image. And for almost 2 years, Matthew McConaughey disappeared. No romantic comedies, no endless studio films, nothing. And this completely confused Hollywood, because usually actors are terrified of disappearing. But McConaughey understood something most people don't. Sometimes you have to destroy the version of yourself the world became comfortable with, in order to become who you were actually supposed to be. Well, everything changed. Suddenly, McConaughey started choosing roles that felt dirtier, that didn't allow him to just be a pretty boy. Mud, Killer Joe, the Lincoln Lawyer. For the first time in years, audiences started seeing something underneath the charisma. He was truly a brilliant actor, someone who had something to prove, but it doesn't end there. Next came the role that changed everything, Dallas Buyers Club.
You've tested positive for HIV.
Matthew McConaughey had to set off to transform into Ron Woodruff, a man who was dying from AIDS. When audiences first saw the transformation, people genuinely couldn't believe it was him. McConaughey lost over 40 pounds for the role. His face looked hollow, his body looked frail. The guy Hollywood once sold as the effortlessly handsome leading man suddenly looked unrecognizable. And that was the point, because this Matthew McConaughey wasn't trying to look cool. This Matthew McConaughey was trying to solidify his spot in the art of acting. And then something happened that almost never happens in Hollywood. People realized they had underestimated him completely. Dallas Buyers Club wasn't just a comeback, it was a reinvention. The same actor who once played shirtless guys in forgettable romantic comedies is now delivering one of the greatest performances of the decade. But somehow, he still wasn't finished, because immediately after that, McConaughey entered one of the greatest runs any actor has ever had. Welcome to the McConaissance. The formal name for the rebirth of the rom-com guy. True Detective, Interstellar, The Wolf of Wall Street, all within basically the same period of time. And suddenly, Matthew McConaughey stopped feeling like a celebrity. He became something rare, a real movie star, not the modern kind built by social media and marketing, the old school kind, the kind whose presence alone changes the energy of the scene. And maybe the greatest example of this happened in True Detective, because Russ Cole feels like the complete evolution of everything McConaughey has been building towards his entire career.
You're a bad man. No, I don't wonder, Marty. The world needs bad men.
The sadness underneath the charm, all of it inside one character. Then came the Oscars.
Matthew McConaughey.
21 years earlier, a random guy from Texas walked into an audition room for a tiny role in a stoner comedy. Now he was standing on the biggest stage in Hollywood, holding an Academy Award for Best Actor. And honestly, when you watch that old audition tape now,
That's what I love about high school girls, man. I keep getting older, but they stay the same age.
it feels different. You're watching the first appearance of a movie star before anyone realized what they were looking at. Matthew McConaughey suffered from success. At times, he was too charismatic. He had to reinvent himself over and over again. McConaughey changed what it means to be an actor. Actors aren't just pretty faces and people who can sell tickets. Actors are artists, people who want to create things that they're passionate about. You can learn from McConaughey on what it means to stick to your guns and to risk everything. Because at the end of the day, what do you have to lose? Comment down below what your favorite Matthew McConaughey role was. I'd have to say mine was him in Mud. But thank you for watching, and if you want to see more videos on self-discovery and film, shoot your boy a sub. Until next time, guys, peace out.